Chapter 1. I'll be dead in 6 months. In 183 days, to be exact. I can't wait. But for now, the prospect alone brings me adequate comfort. I stare at my computer screen. The cursor blinks mockingly on the white background of the Word document. It's supposed to be the first of many. If this is the speed I'm going to be working at, I might have to add a few days to my very last calendar. I don't want to do that. I've chosen the date carefully, as carefully as these things can be chosen. One day after my 60th birthday, I will say my final goodbye. It turns out, if you want to die, there's a lot you need to take care of. And I want every last thing to be taken care of. My perfectionist streak will continue until my very last breath. The only problem is, I'm not used to sorting out every little thing myself. I have people for that. My personal assistant Daisy handles all my administration. My chef Ryan cooks most of my meals. Harry takes care of my home here in New York. My manager Ira has made sure every single one of my needs has been met for the past 35 years. But I haven't told him my greatest need yet. How do you tell someone something like that? If there is an acceptable way, I haven't found it yet, and I've had years to think this through. It's been nearly a decade since the thought first crossed my mind, furtively at first, as though it was afraid to become a full-grown idea. The inkling of such a possibility would creep up on me in unguarded moments. It took months before it dared to linger for more than a fleeting second, before I dared to grasp it and examine it further. It took years until I became certain it was what I wanted. But my own certainty is just that, my own. It's not something I can easily inflict upon others. That's what I'm trying to explain in this letter, the first of many. Dearest Ira, I type. Before I continue this letter, I need to decide whether I will tell him beforehand or not. It will determine what I write. I've been going back and forth on this. If I tell him ahead of the time, I don't need to write him a letter, but he will try to talk me out of it. Oh, how he will try. Ira might know me best of all, but he will still try with all his might, with all the power he has over me to change my mind. That's not a conversation I want to have, so I need to write this letter. But I guess I don't need to write it today, although that's what I told myself yesterday as well, and the day before. I can't keep on postponing it. I click out of the Word document and check the list I made of people who need to receive a letter on March 19th, 2021. With the life I have lived, I figured there would be more, but there are only a few names on my list. Maybe I should start by writing one joint letter to all of them. I can add personal touches later on, once I've gotten down the gist of what I want to say. My phone rings. It's my private number, the one only a handful of people have. The number Daisy doesn't screen for me. Speak of the devil, it's Ira.
Izzy.
He sounds out of breath.
I just got word. Bruce fell off his horse.
What? Bruce is the biographer I've been working with for the past 2 years on my final project. Although, of course, Bruce doesn't know it is my very last professional endeavor.
It's bad. He's in a coma.
Oh, no. On a really bad day, I would have considered Bruce a lucky son of a bitch. Is he going to be all right?
I don't know. It's too soon to tell, but...
I know, Ira. The cogs in his brain are ever turning. Business always comes first. That's why I pay him his 15%.
I spoke to the publisher. They have a replacement in mind already.
Are you kidding me?
The book was as good as done, Izzy. All the source material is there.
I huff out some air, making sure Ira hears my exasperated sigh at his end of the line. Who are they suggesting?
Leila Zadeh.
He sounds as though that name should impress me. I rack my brain. I've heard the name before, but that's only the bell it rings.
She writes a lot for the Metropolitan,
Ira says. Bruce really can't be replaced. Not this late in the day.
I know, you're right.
The last one is Ira's favorite sentence.
But just meet with her. See how you get along. No pressure.
No pressure, yeah, right. I don't know, Ira. I was never totally on board with the whole biography thing anyway. To have someone delve deep into my life like that, I only went along with it because of my own secret plan. Because by the time my biography is released into the world, I will be long gone. Ira sold me on the idea of leaving a different kind of legacy. But Bruce was such a likable man. Easy to talk to, unassuming, never pushy. Although his hands-off approach seemed to work in the end. Poor Bruce. Which hospital's Bruce in? Is he getting the best care possible? Of course. Ira's voice is calm. We can go see him as soon as it's allowed. Send me a dossier on this. What's her name again? Then I'll decide. Coming your way right now. A silence falls. Are you okay, Izzy? Ira asks after a while. All the time I spent with Bruce, and I never knew he rode horses. I can hear Ira swallow. It was his job to find out everything about you, not the other way around. A minute after we've rung off, I get a reminder on my cell phone for my workout. It's hot instructor time in my virtual gym. Ramona's the only reason I still show up every day. Ramona and the addictive blend of endorphins and arousal she elicits from me. After the news about Bruce, I need the distraction. On my computer screen, I get a notice I've received a new email. It's from Ira, and the subject reads, Leila Zadeh. That will have to wait until after Ramona has made me sweat and forget. The letter. Dear friends, at first, this may be very difficult to comprehend, but I'm confident that in the end you will understand why I had to do this. Maybe not fully. Maybe not how I feel in my very bones that this is the only way things could go for me. But you will get it. That's why I'm writing you this letter. I've thought about this for a very long time, for years and years. Taking my own life is not a decision I've made lightly. You can be absolutely sure of that. It's one I've looked at from every possible angle. I studied the outcome of every other possibility, although, let's be frank, between dead and alive the options are quite limited. Or maybe that's not entirely true. There's only one way to be dead, but there are many ways to be alive. You can be alive, like you, Ira. You take every bull by the horns. You take on every challenge, no matter how difficult, and ride the fuck out of it. I do love that about you. But that's not an option for me. Since the surgery, I've been cautiously alive. Well, depressed alive at first. But the depression did lift. I want you to know I'm not doing this because I'm depressed. When I was depressed, I went to see Dr. March, and he helped me through the worst of that. This is not a matter of depression. This is a matter of actively choosing death over life. I've led a privileged, astounding life. The kind of life people grow up dreaming of. It's truly been a wonder. It's a marvel the way things have gone for me, back to when I was so young. Yes, there was pressure, and fame isn't something that comes without adversity and its very own challenges. But it's been truly great. If I was at all religious, I would say I've been blessed. Despite what happened, I have been very blessed. It's also because so many wonderful things have happened to me that I'm now able to say firmly that for me, it's been enough. You may think I don't have the right to say that, but I would disagree. This is my life. Why can't I do what I want with it, even if it means cutting it short? Besides, you can hardly call my life short. Maybe 60 is short for some, but I sometimes feel like I've lived many lives in those 60 years. I've been the singer. That alone has been enough to fill so many lifetimes. I've been the me I've become after my career ended. All in all, it's been a crazy, hectic, often ecstatic ride. A ride of which, nonetheless, I've had enough. Chapter 2. When the bell rings, Harry, who insists on calling himself my house manager, goes to the front door to let in Leila Zadeh. After reading through the materials Ira sent, I decided to meet with her, because I want to at least have the option of finishing the biography. The clock is ticking, 180 days left. From the accompanying photos, I gather Leila Zadeh is a glamour puss, so I dressed to match her. Off-white casual suit, shiny earrings, even a hint of lipstick. But when Harry brings Leila into the den, I greet a woman wearing jeans and a loose-fitting blouse. "Miss Adler." She beams me a wide smile. "What an honor to meet you." Here we go, the deference I used to bask in but have come to despise, because I know now how little it means. "And you?" I shake her hand. She has a firm grip, not a hint of nervous sweat on her palm. "What a lovely home you have." Leila's jet-black hair is pulled back in a tight chignon. Her eyes are equally black as coal. Her lips are painted fire engine red. "And you look absolutely stunning, of course." Holy moly, enough already with the inane flattery. Didn't Ira brief her? Maybe he did. But maybe she's decided to disregard him. Who knows? She might even mean what she says, but stunning isn't a word I've associated with myself for a long time. Maybe because stunning people aren't in the habit of wanting to die. "Can I get you anything to drink? Coffee? Tea? Something stronger?" "Whatever you're having." She glances at the cocktail glass on the coffee table. Busted. Not that it isn't amaretto sour o'clock somewhere. I nod at Harry, who hurries off to prepare my guest's drink. We sit, and I cast my glance over Leila Zadeh again. From her file, I know she's 59, just like me. She slings one leg over the other. She's all soft curves, and her lips seem to be stretched into a perpetual smile. Her skin is the color of molten gold. "I'm truly thrilled you agreed to meet me. It's shocking news about Bruce, of course. Do you know him well?" I continue my study of her. The skin around her eyes is creased, probably because she smiles so much. "Quite well. We worked together a number of times. I'm, well acquainted with this project as well." "Are you?" I quirk up my eyebrows. I'm well aware Leila knows much more about me than I do about her. It seems to always be the case whenever I meet someone new. Let's say I've done a very deep dive into all things Isabel Adler in the past few days. She rests a kind gaze on me. It's been fascinating, to say the least. Harry knocks discreetly on the door, then walks in with a tray carrying Leila's cocktail. He offers it to her, and as he turns away from her, he shoots me a quick wink. Maybe I should include Harry in my list of letter receivers as well. He hasn't worked for me that long, but I have grown very fond of him. He doesn't behave as though he has a broomstick shoved up his ass like my previous house manager did. He doesn't take himself nor this job too seriously, and brings a lightness that on most days my house sorely lacks. "So you've read all of Bruce's notes already?" Leila's made it sound as though her continuing the project is a done deal already. "Notes," she says. "What I received from his editor are not mere notes. It's a proper first draft. Only the last few chapters are missing. Bruce has been holding out on me. Last I spoke to him, he told me things were progressing slowly but surely. Maybe he wanted to finish the last few chapters before he gave me more than that. The last few chapters that span the last horrible decade of my life. I know I haven't shared enough of my emotions for Bruce to be able to work it all into a cohesive narrative, without him having to invent things about me, or attribute feelings to me I might not have felt. Bruce has been quite exasperated with me the past few months. I know that much. I was slowly working my way up to sharing with him the most difficult part of my life, and now he's being replaced. I'm a touch confused, Miss Zadeh. From her background information, I know she's not married. I thought you coming here today was more like an audition. I'm well aware of how condescending I sound. It's a test, although it's also true. Whereas you're making it sound as though it's a given you will be taking over as my biographer. Who gave her Bruce's draft anyway? I'll have to ask Ira as soon as Leila leaves. Those notes contain very sensitive information about my life. Oh, she says, her perfectly painted lips forming a circle of surprise. Well, I'm not really in the habit of auditioning for jobs any longer. I usually get asked. Now I can't help but smile. Leila Zadeh doesn't back down easily. At least I like that about her. I studied your resume, I say. Impressive. I fix her with a stare. I try to keep it cool, even though I am rather amused by her. Although it hasn't exactly made me feel as though you and I are on equal footing, You know everything I told Bruce about myself, whereas I only know about your many professional achievements. She takes a sip from the cocktail, places the glass down carefully, then opens her palms. Consider me an open book, Miss Adler. I'll share whatever it is you want to know. I shake my head. I didn't even know Bruce rode horses. For some reason, I feel so guilty about that. I take a quick sip from my drink as well. I never asked him anything about himself. He just isn't the kind of person that invites that sort of inquisitiveness. Nice one, Izzy. If this is my way of saying I wasn't the least bit interested in Bruce's personal life, I must be succeeding. Leila nods as though she understands what I'm trying to say. His style is to disappear into the background. From what I've read, it appears to have worked. I chuckle. These damned journalists. They'll play you until you've spilled your dirtiest, most hidden little secret. What's your style? I'm more prominent. Her lips lift into a smile. More present. With attention-drawing lipstick like that, I bet she is. If you were to get the job, I can't help myself. It's as though I need to be patronizing with her. I don't know why. How would you proceed? Her widening smile is bracketed by small creases in her skin. I would start by trying to fill in the missing pieces. She stares me straight in the face. I would need to ask you about losing your voice. Bam. Leila Zadeh doesn't mince words. She's the opposite of Bruce. I nod, then drink again. I can drink as much as I like now. It's not as though I still have a singing voice to look after. Neither will I need my liver to perform optimally so my body thrives for decades to come. After we've gotten to know each other better, of course. She slants her head. In fact, I might start by inviting you to dinner at my house, so we can establish a more intimate rapport. This is a huge project, and finishing it is not a job I underestimate just because I was brought in this late in the day. She narrows her eyes. That will also give you the chance to subject me to some in-depth questioning of your own. Dinner at her house? What is she talking about? I'm not looking for a friend here. Before this meeting started, I was only moderately interested in having my biography finished. That's really not necessary, Miss Zadeh. Please, call me Leila. Her voice has dropped into a super smooth register, and I wish you would take me up on my offer. Take some time to think it over, of course. But my gut tells me we can be a good match to bring this project to a satisfactory close. As she hesitates, the tip of her tongue flicks across her bottom lip. She reaches for her drink. And do bring the recipe to this with you. She expels a brief sigh. Simply delicious. Entirely unlike Bruce, Leila's modus operandi is gutsy charm. I can't say I'm unmoved by it. On the contrary, her deference when she just arrived was just a ploy, or maybe a habit, or maybe even something she had to force herself to act until she got the lay of the land. What does she think of me right now? I already have more questions than I had before I started talking to her. I'll let you know. I need to talk to my manager. She shifts her weight, uncrosses her legs, then recrosses them in the other direction. Look, Miss Adler. Isabel, please. Isabel. Her gaze on me is so dark, it's a little unsettling. I know a thing or two about loss. I think I can give a voice to your pain. Her straightforwardness makes me glad I'm sitting down. I'm not used to someone speaking to me like this. Only Vivian and Ira would ever address me in this forward manner, and I've known both of them for decades. Leila just walked in the door. We'll see. My hackles are all the way up. I haven't decided to work with her. I don't have to show her how I feel just yet, although the thought of opening up to a woman like Leila isn't unappealing. Will you let me know about dinner? She pushes herself out of the chair Bruce spent hours in. Call, text, email, whatever suits you best. Because I'm still sitting down, she gazes at me from above. When I rise to my full length, I'm a few inches taller than her. I've always been the tallest woman in any room. She offers her hand, and I shake it. There's still no trace of nerves on her bone-dry palm. The letter. Not being able to sing any longer is not a terminal illness. It's not like cancer or any other physical disease that ultimately causes your heart to stop beating. But you have to understand that not being able to use my singing voice to express myself for such a long time has felt like a long, slow death. Maybe it's wrong to liken it to a terminal illness, but that's how it seemed. Like a part of me was dying all along, and that being the case, then why shouldn't I die? The truth is, I feel like I don't have much left to live for. Please don't take this personally, although there's no way you won't. You must know I love and care for you deeply, but that doesn't mean I should extend my life for you. I know all of this is one big taboo, and I've done my best so you don't have to deal with the fallout of this too much. I've taken everything into consideration, everything I could possibly think of, every probable scenario, and every potential question that might pop up. I've left clear and detailed instructions for what needs to happen after my death, when you read this. Of course you'll be sad. That's normal. You might even be heartbroken for a while. I'm sorry to have put you through this. But always remember, I wanted this. I was not someone with decades of life left in me. I didn't have an enormous quantity of joy left inside me to be experienced, to be unearthed. In fact, the biggest joy I experienced in the past few years was when I was putting together this plan. The plan for my death. The relief was instant. Not that I haven't had doubts, of course I have, which is why I made myself take the time to truly think it over, to come at it from every possible angle, to make sure you know this was not a rash decision. Chapter 3. She's read the first draft already, Ira. I give him a once-over. It strikes me that, to me, he's looked exactly the same for the past 35 years, although he must have changed. His hairline must have receded because he's practically bald now. But when you see someone nearly every day, these incremental changes just creep up on you. I didn't even know there was a first draft. Ira waves his hand. They must have cooked something up at the publishers as soon as they heard about Bruce's accident. Some sort of contingency plan. Let's not forget we are under contract with them, and a large part of next year's bottom line is riding on that book for them. Fuck the contract. I'll buy them out if I have to. Did you like Leila for the job? Ira ignores me the way he usually does when I go a touch diva on him. It looked to me as though she liked herself very much for the job. Just give me a yes or no, Izzy. I haven't decided yet. She invited me to dinner. He whistles through his teeth. Are you going? I don't know. Secretly, I've already decided to go, but a part of me doesn't seem ready to admit that out loud yet. I think you should, Ira says. Of course Ira wants me to go. The pickings of being Isabel Adler's manager have been rather slim of late. Not that Ira isn't smart enough to have made his fortune off me a long time ago. But men like him can never have enough money in the bank. The pursuit of ever more dollars is what gets him up in the morning. And not for the reason you think I want you to go. He lifts an eyebrow, inviting me to inquire further. Through it all, Ira has become much more of a friend than a manager. I do have to give him that. And what's that? I smile at him. He pushes his glasses up the bridge of his nose. He's wearing his trademark navy polo shirt again, the sleeves tight around his biceps. It's a chance to get yourself out of this house. He looks around. Don't get me wrong. It's a lovely house. But must you spend all your time in it? I go out plenty. It's a blatant lie, and we both know it. Okay, sure. In that case, next time you want to talk to me in person, why don't you come to my office? If you're out and about so much, should be easy enough for you to drop by. Fuck off, Ira, he shrugs. That's what I thought. I'll go. I make it sound as I'll go to Leila's house to please Ira, my long-plagued manager, when the truth is, now that I've slept on it, I quite liked her. Her energy was arresting. It filled the room. Her dark gaze was slightly mesmerizing. And I've been psyching myself up to tell the story of the last 10 years of my life in all its brief brutality to Bruce. I'm not sure yet whether I'll be able to tell Leila. Maybe my voice will fail me all over again, but I don't mind trying. At this point in my life, with 179 days to go, I literally have nothing left to lose. Because that's the thing when you decide to die. So many former issues stop being important at all. In the end, I don't care what Leila Zadeh thinks of me. I no longer care what anyone thinks of me. Whether they feel sorry for me or want to give me a good kick up the ass or have forgotten about my existence entirely. None of it matters. Because in less than 6 months, I'll be gone.
Good. Evie had nothing but good things to say about her,
Ira says. Evie is his new assistant, although she must have been around a while for me to actually remember her name.
Zadeh won a Pulitzer for her essay on gender pay disparity in the theater.
I know. I won 36 Grammys that now have zero meaning to me. Or was it 37? I don't even know. It sounds conceited, and it is. But so many things are how they are, and usually for a good reason.
Let me know how it goes. This book's going to be massive. People are absolutely dying to hear from you.
Ira usually isn't one to put this kind of pressure on me openly. He's more of a stealthy manipulator. Do you have another agenda I don't know about? I ask. He shakes his head, then stops abruptly.
Actually, I do.
He takes off his glasses.
There's something different about you that I can't put my finger on. I'm hoping that working with someone new might, I don't know, spark something in you.
What's there to spark? It's funny he uses the word spark. I've always associated it with how alive I always felt on stage. It's exactly that spark of vitality I've been missing for nearly a decade.
Meeting someone new can have that effect on you,
he says. Oh, that's right. You're the expert, of course. What did Evie spark in you when you first met her? I give him a facetious look. I've never been Ira's easiest client. Not even when I made him millions every year and my antics were easier for him to stomach.
A lot?
Ira has always been a good sport. That's probably why I've kept him on for such a long time. Neither of us is going to change now. But I'm glad Ira feels a spark so often. I used to envy him for that, but I don't anymore.
And it's wonderful.
I'll keep you posted, but don't go expecting too many sparks, okay?
At least she's better looking than Bruce.
Ira paints on a smile.
Not wanting to speak ill of the ill, of course.
We got word yesterday Bruce has woken up from his coma, but his recovery will be a long road. Truth be told, I never even considered whether Bruce was handsome or not. Maybe that says it all. Leila's beauty, on the other hand, is pretty obvious. Uh-oh. Something begins to dawn on me. Am I to believe you didn't have any hand in her selection? I study Ira's face for a reaction he might not be able to hide. He holds up his hands.
I didn't. I would tell you if I did. She was on the short list 2 years ago, before we decided on Bruce.
She was? Surely I would have remembered that, unless it was kept from me.
Or maybe it was a long list and she was otherwise engaged. I don't remember. If it's that important, I'll look it up for you.
I wave him off. It's not important. My phone buzzes its daily reminder. It's Ramona time. I feel like I need her more today, as if I have more energy to burn. I already know I will work extra hard for Ramona later. I say goodbye to Ira and let Harry show him out. Before changing into my workout gear, I text Leila that I will take her up on her invitation. The letter. I'm writing this almost 6 months before I will actually die. I could offer you proof of that, but it seems futile to put my energy into that right now. My point is that I've wanted this for a long time. Not that I've been dragging myself through the last months of my life, but I've known for years that this time would come. And yes, it's unfair I've been able to live toward this state, and you haven't. Please don't go blaming yourself for not noticing anything. I made sure that you didn't. It's not your fault. If any of you even think that for a split second, let me assure you that you're on the wrong track. There's nothing you could have done. This is me. This is where the events of my life have taken me. To illustrate this in more detail, let me tell you about my 50-50 theory. Even before the surgery, I lived by this theory, out of necessity. The big difference between before and after is that before I had my voice, by which I mean my singing voice. I've always been fragile, delicate, perhaps a touch too sensitive for this world. I'm sure that isn't news to you. Because of this, I came to realize that life is a 50-50 game. 50% of the time